Just want to do a quick video on our experience we've had so far with these zoom lock push fittings. These are the flare adapter 1/2-inch fittings. We've actually had very good success with these so far. We use them to put in a filter dryer on a 410A system with an unloader on, and of course that'd be on the high side of the system being a liquid line filter dryer. So we installed it, pressure tested it to 300 psig, the temperature compensated pressure test with Measure Quick, passed the flying colors after 30 minutes, pulled down right away on the vacuum, got down to 327 microns. However, I would not say these are as easy to install as I think the guys at Parker Sporland would have you believe. So these are actually two ones that we had an issue with during the filter dryer install. This one, the issue is actually our fault. However, I've never heard of this being an issue until we actually got out in the field to try and install this push fitting. So what happened was we had the pipe straight all the way up till this little bend here, and we had enough clearance, or so we thought, with the depth gauge marking here, which just ignore all that. That's actually a little bit above past where the marking is with the depth gauge. It was just hard to get in there with a marker. But anyway, we put it on there and it felt like we had a lot more resistance trying to put it on there than we did just practicing putting on these beforehand on some straight pipe that was outside of the system. This little bend right here, it actually caused the O-ring to pop out like that, and we found that right away during the nitrogen pressure test. So it's really important when you're using these push fittings to have the pipe as straight as absolutely possible. Otherwise, it's likely that you're going to push the O-ring out, and you're going to have to apply a lot of force, I think, to put the push fitting on there, which I would say probably is a dead giveaway that you're probably pushing that O-ring out of alignment like that. It really doesn't take much force at all to push these on. Another thing we ran into was actually a factory defect. So for whatever reason, it was actually in a sealed package, but there was no cap, no plastic cap on this end. All the others had that, and then it was also missing this kind of little, don't know what you call this, kind of like a little ring on here. So that actually popped off on us when we were trying to install it, and realized, oh, there's actually a missing O-ring in there from the factory that was just, for whatever reason, that wasn't put on there, and there was no little ring. But again, that's something to look out for. It did not actually have the plastic kind of orange cap on this end of the flare adapter. So what we found is the main keys with installing these correctly is, one, like I said, we figured out the hard way, the pipe needs to be as straight as possible. It's certainly good to use a fresh cutting wheel. You're going to get more clean cut on the copper pipe that way. I like to use the Ridgid inside and outside deburring tool. So this thing is real beefy, does pretty quick work of reaming the pipe, but it's absolutely critical that you have the pipe as smooth as possible on the top here, on the outside, and on the inside. So you can run your finger kind of against the pipe here like that. That should be as smooth as you can possibly get it. And when you're using the reamer, you really don't want to apply much force at all, otherwise you're actually going to start cutting the pipe and creating more burrs. So you just really got to be patient with it. Just let the tool do the work. You don't really need to push hardly at all. Another thing is, Parker recommends specifically Scotch brite, because as far as the outside the pipe where the push fitting is actually going to seat and hold onto and grip onto with the O-ring and the mechanism inside, you want that pipe as smooth as possible. You don't want to actually try to clean it, especially not with like sandcloth, sandpaper, or wire wheel. That's going to create scratches. Then those scratches can easily turn into refrigerant leaks, either at the time of install or down the road. So you really just want to polish that pipe and make it as smooth as possible. Do not want to scratch it with something abrasive like sandcloth. Another thing, note, would not use Teflon or a thread lubricant like Nylog, which normally I would use for flares, but with these, Parker does not recommend doing that because it could have some sort of chemical reaction with the O-ring and start breaking down the O-ring in there, causing a leak. So like I said, we were really happy with our install with these. This is the first time we used these flare adapters to put in a filter dryer. I'll definitely put an update video if we do have leaks with that. But another thing would be, obviously you want to get extras if you're gonna plan on trying to use these to do any sort of pipe fitting, because you could make mistakes like we did, or you could just end up with a lemon like this. So, but overall, we're really happy with this. Is really the future, I think. Really trying to get away from brazing. I'm gonna really double down on mastering that this year. But if I got any questions about these push fittings, feel free to leave them in the comments.